Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you guys for joining me today with this video and showing that you guys support me. I really appreciate it. This is really only my second video doing for this journey to start my DIY YouTube channel, and I'm not really sure where it's gonna go, but I really definitely appreciate you guys showing up and showing that you support me. So today I am going to be showing you guys how you can take an empty bottle of any kind, a glass bottle, you can probably use a plastic one, whatever you have lying around the house, and just upcycling it a little bit to make it into something pretty that you can decorate with or give to a friend as a gift, however you want to do that. So let's just jump right into it. So these are all the items you'll need for today. You'll need your glue gun, preferably with some glue in it. You will also need some scissors. You'll need, well, this is optional, but something to tie around your bottle, some twine, and of course the bottle itself. You can see that I already rinsed my bottle out. There's still some condensation in there, but that'll come out eventually, or you can blow dry it like I did. So to get started, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to move everything out the way, get your twine, and you're just going to cut the little piece off if it's a new piece of twine, but if you're already using it, you don't have to do that. But for this next step, you're just basically measuring out how long you want the twine to be. I don't really have a formula for this, but what I prefer to do is just measure out the length of the bottle and make my twine 3.5 times that bottle size. So you'll see me lining the twine up with the bottle 3 times and then going to the center of it, and then I'll just cut it off right there. And snip. Perfect. So once you have that twine cut out, you don't really need the bottle anymore, so you can just move it out the way, and you can use that first piece of string that you cut to measure out all the rest of them. For my bottle, I did 6. You can really do any even number that you want, but I just find that 6 is the preferable number to use for this kind of design that we're going to be doing today. So I'm going to fast forward here so you don't have to watch me cutting 6 strands of twine. Okay, now we have all 6 strands of our twine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, 6. And after you do that, you really don't need your twine anymore, so you can just toss it. Then you can go ahead and put the other strands to the side and grab your coil. But if you don't have coil, then you might actually still need that twine. But basically what we're going to do is we're just going to take our coil and we are going to wrap it around the neck of the bottle. And my cord I just got from a Dollar Tree down the street from my house. So it was literally just $1. It's really pretty, so I picked it up. I didn't even know what I was going to use it for until I got it. So yeah, it's really pretty, and I decided to use it for this project to add a little gold touch to it. So you'll see me wrapping the coil around the neck of the bottle here, and I like to wrap it around a few times. Partway through I realized that it was a little bit hard trying to just take the entire roll of coil and wrap it around, so in a second you'll see me grab my scissors and just cut it off because I realized, I don't really need that much, so might as well snip. So I'll fast forward here again, and once you are done wrapping the coil a few times around the neck of the bottle, you can just take the coil off. If you aren't using coil, then like I said, you might need that twine. You can just wrap the twine around it and then just make a little loop with your twine instead of using coil. But if you are using coil or some kind of wire, you want to make sure that you secure the loop so that it doesn't just spring up whenever you're trying to work with it. So you'll see me just wrapping it around itself to kind of make sure that the loop stays in place, and now it's pretty sturdy. Once again, you can take that off of the bottle once you're done making the loop, and you're going to want to grab the remaining strands of your twine. Pull one of those suckers off, and you're going to fold it in half because we're going to make a loop with the twine now. So fold it in half and then take the top part and put it underneath the coil circle that you made, the wire circle. Then take your 2 fingers and put it through the little loop and pull the tail end of the twine through the loop, creating a little knot. I think it's called a lark's head knot. I'm really not sure. It's a knot. It's a knot. So once you're done doing that, you're just going to take the remaining 5 strands and repeat that process with all 5 of those. So I'll fast forward here so you don't have to watch me creating so many knots, even though we're going to be making a lot of knots today. Basically, if you know how to make a knot, then you can definitely do this project. So now that we have all 6 strands of the twine attached to the wire coil, we're going to make sure all of the knots are secure and that they are directly opposite of each other. So that's why we wanted to use an even number of strands, so that it kind of makes like a star, and that each strand has like its own partner across the way from the circle. So I'm just adjusting it to make sure it's pretty even. And then you can put it back onto your bottle and we can actually start doing the main part of this project. So what we're going to do is take 2 of the strands, and you're going to want to take the inside strand of each one of 2 separate strands. You're taking the inside of that, and you're just going to make a knot with those 2 strands. Like I said, we're making a lot of knots today. So what I do is I tie it around my finger and then bring it up on the other side, and you can just kind of see what I'm doing here, but then I'm going to pull it through to make that knot. And so one little tip when you are making these knots, I wouldn't make them too tight to begin with, because you might have to go back at some point and untie it in case it's uneven with the rest of the knots, and you'll kind of see why as you go. So yeah, just make a loose knot and then you can go back and tighten them once you're done with the row. So I've done the first knot now, and then you'll see me kind of just turn the bottle and go on to the next one. And right here, what I'm doing is I'm just kind of like measuring out where I want my rolls to be, because you can decide at this point whether or not you want to do 3 rows of knots or 6 or 5 or however many you want. But it really just depends on how much, what the length of your strings were. But you can kind of just figure that out. Like really, I just eyeballed it and was like, oh, I guess I can make 5 rows probably. So that's why I prefer to just do like 3.5 times the length of my bottle, so I have plenty of string to work with. So now I have my second knot, and you can see I'm just really just going around the bottle and making knots and trying to make sure that they're even with one another, that the whole row is at the same length. That way the design just looks more pretty and more symmetrical when you're done with it. So I'll fast forward here and we will see that I am done with my first row of knots. Once you're done with that first row, if you look at the bottle from the top down, it creates this pretty flower thing. So if it looks like a flower and it looks pretty even and symmetrical, you are on the right track. You go, you. So once you're done with the first row of knots, then you're basically just going to go back and repeat the whole process over again for the second row of knots. But again, make sure you're taking the inside string of 2 separate strands. So when you do this, you want to keep it more symmetrical. Just try to make sure that it's about the same length as the top row was from the top. So you can see I just like measured it out with my fingers. You can really just eyeball it, because at the end of the day, once it's all complete, it's going to look fine regardless of if it's perfectly even. But another tip you can do, I didn't do this, but you can just draw on the bottle where you want each row of knots to land with like a dry erase marker or something that will easily be able to come off when you're done with the project, and then you can just line that up with line your knots up with those lines that you drew. So there you can see I started my second row, and really you're just repeating the same process again for the second row, and you'll do it for the third row and the fourth row and the fifth, depending on how many rows you do, until you get to your last row. So here I'm not going to fast forward because that's really not necessary. We're just going to do a nice little fade to white and come back in. So as you can see there, I have finished all of my rows. I did 5 rows. I try to get that last row as close to the bottom as I possibly can, just to make it look better. I think it looks better that way. And then when you're done, you can just turn the bottle over. And what we're doing is we're trying to find the knots that are directly across from each other, and we are just going to tie those together, making another, you probably guessed it, another knot with those 2 partners. And I want to stress so much how you really want to make these knots as tight as you can, to make sure that the entire structure is pulling down and becoming really tight, because you don't want it to be like all loosey-goosey, or maybe you do want it to look that way, but I personally prefer for it to be very secure. So I'm taking my time here, really making sure that it is as tight as possible. And you're basically just going to do that with every single strand, making sure every strand ties the knot with its partner. See what I did there? Anyways, once you're done doing that, then you can just get your scissors and you're just going to cut off the excess twine so that it's not in the way. And those extra pieces of twine, I personally just set them aside and I kept them in case I want to use them for other projects. Like I could use them to make wicks for a future DIY candles or something like that, whatever you want. But then the last step really is just to glue down the end parts to the bottle. That way that it's really nice and secure and it doesn't move around. I did this part off camera, but you can see I'm just like kind of showing you guys like where you would glue it down. And then you'll see here, I have glued it down and it is all nice and secure. If you wanted to, you could definitely choose to cut the ball of knots that's in the center of the bottle now, but I decided not to do that, and since I didn't do that, I was pretty much done at that point. And then really quick, I wanted to show you guys another bottle I did using less rows of knots, just so you guys can weigh your options. And that's it. Let's cue the B-roll. So that is the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you decided to make this item, I really hope to see what you guys made. You can definitely send me pictures of your bottle, and if you did enjoy this video, please definitely go down and hit the like button and the scripts. Please scroll down and hit the like button and hit the subscribe and the like little bell beside it. That way you guys can get notified about when I post videos in the future, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you.